Sometimes the greatest wildlife stories don't happen deep inside a rainforest. They unfold just outside a balcony door. These videos weren't filmed by me. These were filmed by my mom during her visit to Portland, Oregon. Knowing how much I enjoy filming wildlife, she started recording a pair of tiny welcome swallows that had decided our balcony was the perfect place to raise a family. What began as a few short phone videos became something far more special. The complete story of four young birds taking their very first flight. Every family has to start somewhere. For this pair of welcome swallows, it began with hundreds of trips carrying nothing more than a tiny beakful of mud. To us, it might look like only a few mouthfuls of dirt, but together, those tiny loads would eventually become a home. A swallow's nest is an engineering marvel for such a small bird. The outer walls are built from mud reinforced with dried grass, creating a surprisingly strong structure that can withstand weeks of weather and constant activity. Inside, however, it's a completely different story. The hard shell is lined with soft grasses, feathers, and animal fur, creating a warm nursery for the chicks that are yet to come. By the time these videos were taken, the final touches were already underway. The soft lining was carefully arranged. The nursery was already ready. Now, all that remained was to wait. Soon after the nest was completed, the female began laying her eggs, one every day or two, eventually producing a clutch of four. From this point onward, her life changed completely. For around 2 weeks, she would spend most of her time sitting almost motionless, carefully keeping the eggs warm. The male had different responsibilities. While she incubated the eggs, he stood guard, defending their tiny territory, and made sure his partner could leave briefly and to feed before returning to continue incubation. One morning, everything changed. The eggs had begun to hatch. From our angle, only two tiny heads could be seen peeking over the edge of the nest. Blind, almost featherless, completely dependent on their parents. Every few minutes, one of the adults would arrive carrying insects before disappearing again in search of the next meal. The chicks hardly rested. If a parent appeared overhead, every neck stretched upwards, every mouth open as wide as possible, all competing to be fed first. Something unexpected happened. Instead of two chicks, there were four. The little mud cap was suddenly overflowing with hungry nestlings. It almost seemed impossible that four growing birds could fit inside such a small home. The days passed remarkably quickly. Each morning, the chicks looked just a little bigger than the day before. Pin feathers slowly emerged. Their necks grew stronger. Their curiosity grew with them. Instead of only looking upwards at food, they began looking out into the world beyond the nest. The balcony became their window to an entirely new life. Of course, raising four growing chicks isn't an easy task. The parents worked almost continuously, flying out, returning with insects, then immediately leaving again. Hundreds of feeding trips every single day. In the earliest days, they even carried away waste from the nest, helping keep the nursery clean. As the chicks grew older, however, the job became impossible. The balcony below quickly told the story. Eventually, one chick climbed onto the edge. It looked down, looked around, then made the biggest decision of its life. It jumped. For a brief moment, there was uncertainty. Then instinct took over. Instead of falling, it flew. After landing safely on the balcony railing, it spent much of its time calling to its parents, occasionally fluttering its wings as though practicing for the adventure that lay ahead. One of the adults often perched nearby, keeping watch, while continuing to encourage the young bird. The nest, once so crowded, now had one empty space. The following day, another chick followed, then another. Soon, only one remained. Being the youngest can sometimes be the hardest. While its brothers and sisters were already exploring the outside world, one chick stayed behind. It watched, it listened, it waited. Its parents continuously called from nearby railings, almost as though they were encouraging one final leap of faith. Meanwhile, the older siblings occasionally returned to the nest, resting after their early flight lessons, and still accepting meals from mom and dad whenever the opportunity arose. Even after leaving the nest, they weren't completely independent. For a little while longer, the parents would continue feeding, protecting, and teaching them skills they'd need to survive on their own. Then finally, the last chick stepped forward and flew. Just like that, the little mud cap that had been so full of life stood empty. For weeks, this tiny nest had been the center of an entire family's world. It witnessed thousands of flights, countless insects delivered, sleepless nights, growing feathers, first courage, and first freedom. All from a nest no bigger than the palm of your hand. It's easy to overlook birds like welcome swallows. They're common, small, and fast, often gone before you notice them. But slowing down long enough to watch them reveals something extraordinary. A reminder that some of nature's greatest stories don't happen in famous national parks or remote wilderness. Sometimes they happen just outside a balcony door. And thanks to my mom taking the time to press record, this family will always have their story told. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed stories like this, I'd love for you to join me for the next wildlife adventure.